Okay, Don Kraft. I've loved these. If you have not seen one of Don's 4-bit segments, these have been fun throughout this year, getting to learn a little bit more about our past and keeping our DNA top of mind and alive. Please welcome past president and legend in Rotary, Don Kraft. Yes, you are.
I can only stand so much hype. In 1909, the Seattle PI ran an article on the brand new Rotary Club of Seattle, and it was not flattering. They featured this cartoon entitled, "You Scratch My Back and I'll Scratch Yours." Kind of a crude way to introduce a new club to the city. They concentrated on the fact that members chose to do business with each other, and they called it reciprocity. Today, I'd like to tell you about two of our early members who took Rotary from those days where we weren't always welcomed to what Rotary has become today. Pinkham and Skeel. Let's see if we can explore why their legacy enriches who we are today. This is Ernie Skeel, who grew up in Cleveland. At Ohio Wesleyan University, he starred in 4 sports, and at that relatively small school was named All-Idaho quarterback. I don't know what Ohio State was like in those days, but it was bigger. He moved to Seattle after law school in 1907 at the age of 26. Ernie was a very good lawyer and very much in demand, and over the years his civic contributions were legendary. He also, in the 40s, he headed a committee to keep Boeing manufacturing here instead of moving to Wichita. Thanks. He also was named Seattle's first citizen in 1948. This is Jim Pinkham. He was an idealist with a clear analytical mind, and he also was in his mid-20s when he co-founded Seattle Rotary. And sadly, he was only 39 when he died. And guess what? He died of polio. That gives us something to think about, doesn't it? Jim was a lumber broker, and he wasn't much interested in the "you scratch my back" aspect of Rotary. Beyond that, he worried that the club, primarily based on business exchange, would not succeed over the long haul. When he was asked to serve as the club's second president, he hesitated. He'd been talking to his friend Ernie about the ideal of service. And he said he needed time to think about it. But when he finally said yes, he delivered a powerful speech presenting his and Ernie's new principles for Rotary, which became known as the Seattle Platform. Now, in 1910, the 16 existing Rotary clubs that were in the country at that time were called to Seattle to a charter convention, and it was the first they'd ever had. And Roy Denny, our initial president, was elected vice president of the National, and Ernie was right in the middle of the committee to adopt a constitution. In fact, he wrote it all. The second National Convention of Rotary was held in Portland and turned out to be quite a Seattle affair. Roy Denny chaired several sessions as vice president. Ernie was chair of the civic committee, proposing doing more in the community. And Jim was chairman of the resolutions committee with the idea of passing and adopting the Seattle platform. A Chicagoan named Arthur Sheldon had made a committee report the previous year in Chicago and ended with the words, "He profits most who serves best." Sheldon didn't come to Portland, but his report was read there. And when the words, "He profits most who serves best," were read, Jim jumped up and said, "This is what we've been waiting for, a positive affirmation packaged in just 6 words. It should be put into the platform." And the convention agreed with a thunderous standing ovation. The Seattle platform was passed by acclamation. That moment in Portland, 1911, August 23rd, has been considered by many as the birth moment of Rotary as a service club. In fact, of service clubs anywhere in the world. While they took no personal credit for it, Pinkham and Skeel, without question, were responsible for making it happen. He profits most who serves best, of course, evolved into service above self, and Rotary, to this day, encourages opening doors of business through acquaintance and fellowship, and nobody runs any negative cartoons about Rotary anymore. Now, a bit of a warning. What I've been telling you is the Seattle version of Rotary history. You're not likely to hear it anywhere else. It's true, but nobody has any motivation to maintain that history that I've told you. And I hope there's some among you who can take an interest in this. When I joined this club, there were people who were among the founders and people who knew Skeel particularly, who was alive when I joined. But it's kind of getting dim. My nephew Jim got invited to the Pinkham and Skeel party, and I said, "Tell me who they were," and he said, "2 Chicagoans." So it's in our history book, which has a lot more than I can give you today. But if you're interested in learning more and you can't get one from the office, I'll lend you mine. In it, we have 2 letters from Paul Harris, where he says, for example, "I can't tell you how large Pink, Skeel, and Denny loomed up in those formative days." And Denny gives all the credit to Ernie and Jim. So now you know why we revere Pinkham and Skeel and why our Appreciation Society is named after them. About a quarter of our members are members of the Pinkham and Skeel Society because they have donated $1,000 or more to our foundation, which, as you know, provides the lifeblood for all of our service projects. For you other 3/4, do I have a deal for you? One-time offer. Kathy Williams, who is the president of the foundation this year, and if you give her your business card today, you can be her guest at the annual Pinkham and Skeel party on June 14th at the Seattle Yacht Club. With no obligation, you can see what Pinkham and Skeel looks like from the inside. And you can have some fun. So, what are you waiting for? She's right there. Thanks for listening.